So, as you know that...
Hey guys, Lewis Aviation here, and we've got another video for you guys, and as you can see where we are, first of all, we're at the Manchester Airport Runway Visitor Park at Manchester Airport. Basically, it's a place where you can go and see planes, there's viewing places, there's airplanes, there's cafes and shops, there's loads of stuff, and one of those planes is the Nimrod XV231. It looks like a little bit of an army plane, as you can see by the style of it. And we are going to be going on it soon, and as you can see here are our boarding passes. Really nice. Yeah, we're going to be going on this, and also we'll be going on the Concorde as well, which will be included in this video. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the tour of the Nimrod and the Concorde. So yes guys, hope you enjoy. Let's go on the Nimrod.
Just taxiing out there.
3 years of trip
Oh, right.
the trip inside this.
I enjoy it. Sure will. Just come this way, folks. High security barrier.
Low security barrier.
Here it is, under the carriage.
Let's get around the outside there. Spotting out on the inside. So we're going to head up straight up the stairs here. And when we go in, gents, just watch your head because the door's low, you'll be okay. And what we're going to do is take a walk through the aeroplane, finish on the flight deck, then if we have time we'll have a scout around the outside.
Okay, super.
Let's make our way on board.
What it looks like. Dead normal.
Oh, they can't do that. 6 years.
Arrived in 2010.
Seven years.
We all retired on the 31st of March. It's been
I think we decided the last flying comet in Chester.
Oh yes, yeah.
Obviously it was flying at that time.
Just a normal,
So yeah, quite
different looking plane from the outside, really.
yeah.
Face panel here with
Okay, so what we're in now is the ordnance compartment. So you can see we've got seats in here. There'll be racks. Potentially racks would come all the way to where I'm standing. No seats. You've got a couple of launchers for the sonar buoys, the equipment used to find submarines, actually on the aeroplane. Different types, pressurised and non-pressurised. And the space here you'll pretty much use for anything. So you could get it through the door, you could carry it. Nimrod was used for, well, 3 different purposes. Search and rescue, so finding people or things in the sea, anti-submarine warfare and anti-surface unit warfare. So quite a versatile aeroplane. Now when you're looking for submarines, it's quite a challenge because they spend the time under the sea. So what you would need to do is use these things. There's different types. This is a sonar buoy. And what you do, you put it in a launcher, drop it into the sea, the parachute slows it down so it doesn't make a splash as it goes in, it then floats and listens for submarines. So you're flying around listening to these. When you find one, you've got torpedoes in the bomb bay, you can then attack that submarine. These typically run from £400 to £6,000 per device. Once they're in the sea, you never see them again.
I was going to say,
Like 1 to 200 plus.
one-way trip.
Absolutely. Torpedoes run about £1 million each. So it's not a cheap business to
How
find.
much do they say? 400,000 you say?
Between £400 and £6,000, depending on the version and the time it's like. Yeah. Let's make our way forward a little bit. So we're just going through the door here. This is the galley.
Oh, that's good.
So you've got a crew, typically 12, 13. You could carry other people if you were going the way that other people needed to go, so extra seats would go in. You need to eat, you need to drink, so this is where all the food was prepared. Typical mission time 6 to 8 hours. You could extend that up to 20 hours with in-flight refueling. So, quite a challenge. The skill really was to make sure you eat a little often, because you want to keep your stomach feeling full. That way you fight the air sickness, because the way life works, you're bouncing around all over the place. Not bright sunny days when you're going to fly. Through the next door we have the tactical compartment. So this is really where the work was done. So we're going to see a series of stations where the people would operate the equipment to actually do the role of Nimrod. So this is a twofold station. Once you use the sonar buoys to work out where a submarine is, final confirmation, you're 200 feet above the sea, you go over where you believe that is, and this device here would actually give you a straight line down the middle and a big spike when you go over the top of it. So it's looking for deviations in the Earth's magnetic field. That's called the MAD, the Magnetic Anomaly Detector. Sits on the very back of the aeroplane, out the way, because this is bigger metallic, so it's going to interfere with it, so keep it out the way. It's also the defence of the aeroplane. So on the wingtips there are pods with sensors that detect radar. So the radar sweeps you, picks that up, analyses what radar it is, get the information on the screen, and then if it's a hostile radar it could be locking on, so then you'd have a missile coming in. So the system here tells you where the missile is coming from. The one next to it basically decoys the missile. If it's heat seeking it uses flares, if it's using radar it uses aluminium foil, so it just pulls it away. And it can do other clever things as well. So
That's all operated from that one
from
seat.
that station, yeah.
That's an important seat, isn't it?
It certainly is. Down with the all and the
Don't
Runway.
need wait yes on that one, do you?
Yeah, oh no. Moving a bit further forward again. So if somebody wants to take a seat over on the left hand side here, that's the radar operator. So really key role. If you're looking for anything on the surface of the sea, typically that's where you'd be sat. And the picture shows you the sort of things you'd see on the screen, and it's an incredible bit of kit. So if you imagine you're over the Mediterranean, which is a fairly calm sea, from 50 miles away you could pick up something the size of a can of Coke popping up down on the surface. And from over 200 miles away you get something that sort of size, give it a position on the Earth's surface within 7 feet. So it's there's no escape. The beauty is you're up high, you're over everything. So if something's moving on the surface, whether it's a boat, debris, even a periscope, you're going to pick that up. You just can't
If the
escape.
technology we what 40, 50 years old?
Yeah, this
Probably
was
some of it maybe. Or
1969 when Nimrod's, well, the delivery started. So the technology really is 60s. It advanced through the years, so they're constantly updating the equipment on board. It was essentially the same type of radar at the end, but it was really clever stuff. On the other side you can see we've got some holes where they took the equipment out. That cost several £1 million and they could use it elsewhere, so you can't blame them really, but they've left us some pictures to show what it looked like. So imagine, we'll see when we go on the outside, there's a dome underneath this wing with 3 cameras in it. Each camera gives a little screen at the bottom here, so you get an image on the screens. You could get more detail on the big screen from any one of those. There's a moving map, so it's military GPS to the side, and you could stream all the information real time to people on the ground or other aircraft. So what you see, they could give you coordinates that you program in the system, it could go and look at those, and then if they don't like the look of what you were seeing, they could then program that into a missile, and then that's it, it's sorted. Really clever stuff as well. You've got infrared capabilities, so if you're in Afghanistan or Iraq, Nimrod operated in both of those conflicts, you can actually look at the ground and you can work out, well, it looks smooth, but it's not. It's been disturbed. You can look at a building with a car parked around it, you can see a footprint of a vehicle that had been there perhaps 24 hours before. So you knew it wasn't just a car park because it was a footprint of a tank or an armoured vehicle. So it's clever stuff. These screens, you've got 3, because it's quite a big job to actually do what these people were doing. Imagine in the sea you've got any number of sonar buoys. You wouldn't launch one, you could have potentially up to 99 because you've got 99 different frequencies. So the person in the middle would assign sonar buoys to listen to or analyse to each of the 2 crew members either side, and they would be looking at the patterns of noise coming in from those sonar buoys. So it's not pictures, it's actually, if you like, a representation of the noise it's detecting. And the clever thing is that submarines, everyone is unique. So you might build 20 of a certain type, they move through the water, the characteristics are different. One may have a pump that's slightly louder, got a rhythm to it that the others don't have. So by the time you build up intelligence, you can then, by looking at the patterns of noise, identify what submarine it is you're actually listening to. And then of course that gets fed to the people at the front here. They work out what to do next, what the submarine's going to do, and then they can actually attack it. So when the aeroplanes retired in 2010, the bulk of the crew retired with it. Some went to work in civvy street, some basically just retired. But these people, the acoustics team working with the Canadians, New Zealanders, Australians to keep the skills up, because in a couple of years when we get a replacement for this, you need those skills. So it's, that's a good thing. A little bit further forward. So we have a very old-fashioned looking radio station. Everything radio communications was done here. You've got encryption, so you don't listen, or nobody can listen to what you're saying or sending. You get nice clear instructions printed on the paper here. You've got paper tape, so you can actually pre-prepare messages on tape. When you're ready, put it in the reader, press the button, it gets read and sent. So you can be double sure what you're sending is right. The beauty of it all is, if you have to abandon the aeroplane, you can gather all the paper, put it in a bag, you can burn it, and it's gone forever. Memory chips take a lot more destroying. On the other side here, we've got two navigation consoles. The routine navigation is done from here, so this person would get you from A to B. When you're on station, or you're going to do the work, this person takes over. So imagine all the people who have just been passing by here, feeding information onto that screen so they can actually see what's going on. They would issue commands to the back of the aeroplane to program the buoys, so how long it sits on the surface of the sea before it sinks and how deep it listens. They would get information from the acoustics team, so each of the buoys as you pass it, you get the information from. That's on the screen, you can work out what that submarine is doing and what it's likely to do next. And then when the time comes, they will position the aircraft and attack it with the torpedoes. So that is the big job. You'll be helped by the other navigator and a third crew member that would sit just behind him. And he's really a coordinator. So he would pitch in and help in that role. There's a switch up here, quite an important switch. It's a difficult switch, you can't just flick it, you need to pull it and then flick it. It's deliberately awkward because you've actually switched that on, you've basically said you're happy to launch the special weapons or the nuclear weapon. There's another switch on the flight deck, there are buttons, it's not just one switch. So it's deliberately awkward because you don't want to hit that by mistake. What we're talking about is a depth charge. So basically it's a bomb that you drop into the water, it sinks and then it explodes at a certain depth, causes a shockwave. Fabulous until you get submarines that can go really deep. So nuclear submarines can stay under the water for about 3 months. So if you've got a really water submarine, you need a really powerful explosive. So a nuclear depth charge was just that.
So how many of those would the aircraft carry?
Well, they never actually use them in earnest. No. We're talking the height of the Cold War, really. So they prepared for it, they practiced it, but they never, luckily, had to use it.
But the aircraft would only carry one of those, I guess.
I would imagine it would be one.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get information about the nuclear side of anything. Let's move forward again. So if you just sit in that seat for me, I've got a little job for you. It's a really easy job. All I want you to do is put your finger on the window. You can see it's not flat.
No, it's round.
It is, it's a dome, so if you lean forwards, put your head right in that dome and you can see underneath the aeroplane, can't you? You can see its wing, you can nearly see its nose. So once you've got your radar operator who detects something that's worth looking at, they would get people to come here and visually identify what that was. The window would open, so you could take photographs, and of course talking low level, low speed, so you get nice clear pictures of what it was you've actually seen. And the aim was, at the end of the mission, you could prove you've seen this object at this time and this day, this point on the Earth's surface. And of course there's your proof. So let's just have a nip forward into the flight deck. Just be careful, there's a little step there, so go and sit in one of the seats. It's all fairly standard stuff in here. You always need the same information when you're flying aeroplanes. You need to know how high you are, what direction you're flying in, your rate of climb and descent, and if you're flying the right way. You've also got some instruments in the middle that tell you if the engines are performing as you'd expect. And the console in the centre basically you've got the throttles for controlling the engines on the top, trim wheels at the back and the sides, the flaps again at the back, and parking brake and air brake on the top. And what looks like a pizza box on top of the dash, that is your autopilot flight director. So once you're airborne, that can actually fly the aeroplane for you, pretty much as commercial aircraft do. You can see on the control column there's a couple of buttons. So if you were dropping bombs, they would be dropped from here. The nuclear depth charge would also be dropped from here.
That's the red one with N on it, presumably.
That's it, yeah, you lift that up, push the buttons and away it goes. The reason for that, literally, is that your back of the aeroplane, you might actually be prone to the flash at the end when that comes up, so the fronts would block out what you call face flags. Flight engineer behind the pilots, because of its age, we're talking 1960s, through into the 1970s actually. You had 3 people on the flight deck. The flight engineer would look after all the systems on the aircraft. Modern aeroplanes from the 80s onwards don't have an engineer, that's all done by computer. And in the top corner here, this is a modification for the Falklands War in 1982. This was the in-flight refuelling. So we'll go outside in a moment, we'll see the probe on the top. Once you've docked that with the drogue on the tanker, you can then control where the fuel goes by pushing the buttons here, monitoring how much fuel you're putting in.
It looks a lot more additional switching on the roof here than what any other aircraft have been in.
Yeah, some of these are literally just gap fillers, but generally it's
All that lot.
radio communications, got
Is
lights.
it? I can't sit in the setting. Where are we going? Where are you going to take me?
Africa.
Africa sounds good.
Why not? Okay, we've just got time for a quick scout round the outside. So watch your head in your back as you go through things. That's a really low grade.
Wow. I've got that one.
From here. Imagine trying to get that in the shuttlecock, but really it's only about that sort of diameter. It's not easy because it's moving round and it might be dark while you're doing it. But once you're docked, say 20 minutes, you'll be fully fueled and you can break away, go your separate ways. You can see the bomb bay, so it runs right underneath the aeroplane. It's a very long bomb bay, but it's not very deep. It's only about 2 feet deep. Torpedoes about 18 inches diameter and about 8 feet in length, so quite easy to get 6 in. On the wings you can see the pod on the end, that's what detects the radar and flying along. Fuel tank with a glass dome in front. Glass dome would be a searchlight, very powerful and you can steer it round to see different things. We've got the camera dome, and then this is the pod that would fire the flares and chaff to decoy the missiles. All the aerials on the top basically feed the sensors with the information you need on the inside of the aeroplane. We've got more on the bottom as well, so you need a sensor and an aerial for everything. You can see the engines are really close by the fuselage, not unusual. That's design, very good and ideal for what you're wanting to do.
Medium size. Good.
Where the sonar buoys leave the aeroplane. There's 2 on either side, so 2 pressurised ones, 2 unpressurised ones, so you can drop them from any height, but lower down as well. with any questions. It's a bit different, isn't it? Not your normal aeroplane.
So-called lower half of that, but that's depressurised though, is that?
The bottom, the pannier, no.
No, that's obviously the fuse, isn't it? It's depressurised.
That's it.
This is just a big fairy.
That's it, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's split down the middle, so it's not a full length piece. It's two separate panels either side.
How many we made?
Originally 45, no, 49 in total. So it's quite a lot, but they did different things over the years. Some were modified into different versions that they were trying, but then sadly they broke them up.
Where did they usually fly to?
Well, they would fly wherever they were needed. So we're based in Scotland, so imagine you've got the Atlantic, so the sea between us and America. We would cover halfway across the Atlantic. So if you were in trouble on our side, one of these would come looking for you. On the other side, come from Canada or America. We went all over the world. The Queen was flying on a tour abroad over the seas. One of these would be around just to keep an eye in case something went wrong.
Look at there, that's good. Go on, have a look at under there.
Watch it, don't bang your head.
Don't bang your head. You're dead away. You're dead away.
So I hope you enjoyed that tour.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video of the Nimrod XV231. It's quite a good plane in terms of where it flew. Its main base was Scotland. Of course, it mainly was used over the Atlantic for dropping bombs and hitting the submarines and stuff. And of course, as Sean said, there was lots of patrols. Not as many people though, but it was mainly a warship for dropping bombs in the sea and stuff. So it's quite as you can see, here's what there was. So you could carry 12 to 13 crew. You need quite a bit of takeoff thrust. In total, about 49 of these were made. Actually, that is quite a lot, I think, for how big the actual plane is. Right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that Nimrod tour. Let's head over to Concord.